And I can almost cry today for these people, these vets who are losing everything. Why don't the Democrats go out there and march and stop fighting with each other? I'm sick of it.
Well, I don't know, Joy, that they're fighting with each other. They're not fighting a unified fight. That is the problem.
The fact that Nancy is now out there criticizing Schumer, stop it already.
You know why she's criticizing him? Because he should have been fighting for that veteran. He should have been fighting for the people of America that are feeling the way that they are feeling. The Americans that I've spoken to, people that approach me almost every single day, say they don't feel like the party is fighting for them. This is not about...
well, that's what I'm saying. Go out and fight for them.
But it's not about... Well, he had the opportunity to fight for them. Chuck Schumer caved to the GOP and got nothing. This was not actually the choice. But Joy, the choice was not between a no vote on the partisan GOP spending bill and a possible shutdown. It was a choice between a no vote and forcing Republicans to explain why they walked away from that possibility of a bipartisan agreement. And the core disagreement was around a willingness to fight, even if that meant convincing the public that the harm from a shutdown was the fault of Trump and the Republicans, because they are going to do exactly what they are doing. They're taking money away from vets. They're going to take money from Social Security. They're going to take money. So let them hold the water for them. Let them hold the bag. Democrats in the House were prepared for that fight. Chuck Schumer caved.
They didn't have the votes in the House.
Okay, so it would have been worse if he didn't concede. It would have been worse. And that's what was surprising about Pelosi saying that, because she knows from her experience as Speaker of the House that the negotiator told Chuck Schumer he did not have the votes. He could not get the votes. He shut it down. And one thing that changed my mind is yesterday I called him on the carpet and said, how are you leadership when you only get 9 Democrats to follow you? But then someone shared something that made me change a little of my perspective. They had exactly the number they needed to not shut down. So he gave cover to a ton of Democrats that probably in common sense terms knew their voters would backlash if they shut the government down. And honestly,
he gave coverage to the GOP to do whatever the heck they want to do.
Nobody's fooling themselves. It's a minority. They don't have the math. It's just basic math. There are facts there. It's not an opinion. They cannot avoid this. And if they bent the knee and pushed back just to show the public they were fighting, we would have ended up worse off. They would have gutted it even more.
They're going to do it anyway.
Legally so, though.
Can't.
So right now we're in the courts. We have more than 24 cases because of Doge and Elon Musk. I believe in the court system. I believe in the judges. I believe the one stopgap will be that moment. But when you cave and say, well, they're not listening to the rules anyway, well, you're giving them a shutdown, which legally allows them to do exactly what they're doing right now.
And they're going to do it anyway. Veterans would be harmed. They wouldn't get their VA benefits.
They're already being harmed. No one is fighting for the American people, and it's feckless and it's weak.
Shutting down the government is not fighting for the American people. It costs the economy billions of dollars.
This man has destroyed so much in 1 month. Give it a minute. I think that...
Give them more time to shut stuff down?
No, I think that the Democrats are going to pull themselves together now.
As we speak, the courts actually stated that...
Every day there's some atrocity going on. Every day I wake up, what did he do today?
The courts just ruled that more than 20,000 federal workers have to be reinstated because what Doge did was not lawful.
So, listen, be careful, because this is what they want. They want this fighting. They want this infighting. What's happening now, Democrats don't have what they need to get what they want done. So, again, people have to get out and you have to march. You have to start making noise.
That's right.
This is now coming back to us. The only way people are going to hear how angry you are is if you get out there. We've done it when people were being sent over to Vietnam disproportionately. We got out there and we made noise and we made a difference. We made a difference. We made a difference when it came to women's rights. We made a difference when it came to black people's rights. If we don't get up and get out there and start making the noise we have to make, it's not going to change.
Stand up for the veterans.
I appreciate, I love Chuck Schumer. I love all these people who dedicate themselves, but it is now on us. We have to do it. You want to save your Social Security? You got to get up and you got to start screaming. Because the only way they're going to understand that you're not going to put up with it is if you don't put up with it. That's the way it's going to work.
A lot of Republicans will see this day of representatives speaking all over the country like you are, and they'll say a simple line. Trump will say it, we're not touching Medicaid.
Well, if his lips are moving, he won't be telling the truth, you know that. And that's what we have to protect ourselves against. And perhaps he'll get to a place where he will understand they cannot touch Medicaid to give tax cuts to the richest people in our country. All we're talking about is people paying their fair share. It's about fair share for them. They should pay their fair share, and we should have a fair share of respect for the people in our country. That's who we are. So again, he may say that, but we don't accept that. If he said, what did he say? Social Security is a scam. His co-president has said it is what? A Ponzi scheme, Musk. So we're not taking any word from him as, shall we say, gospel. We're just in this fight to make sure that these Republican members go to their leadership and say, I can't vote for this. My members, my constituents have spoken out. It's about what comes next. I myself don't give away anything for nothing. And I think that's what happened the other day. We could have, in my view, perhaps gotten them to agree to a third way, which was a bipartisan CR for 4 weeks, in which we could have had bipartisan legislation to go forward.
No plan, no strategy, no message. That's a quote. That's how a Democratic lawmaker was describing the Democratic Senate vote with Republicans this weekend to fund the government with a Republican funding bill, averting a government shutdown, but there was virtually no fight and nothing achieved for Democratic priorities. This comes as our brand new CNN poll this morning shows that the Democratic Party's favorability is at an all-time low in this CNN poll. It's just 29% approval. That's a 20-point drop since 2021. Joining us now is a Congresswoman from Texas, Jasmine Crockett. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you squeezing us in before you go to church. This has been a rough 72 hours for Democrats. I want to play some of what Democratic Senate Leader Schumer told me on The Lead on Friday about his decision to vote with the Republicans to fund the government. Take a listen.
A government shutdown gives Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Doge almost complete power as to what to close down, because they can decide what is an essential service. If they determine that SNAP, kids shouldn't get food, is not essential, they can just cut it out summarily. They could fire half the workers in the federal government. It would have been a far worse consequence.
So he's saying that the path that House Democrats wanted would have presented a worse consequence. Is he wrong?
He's absolutely wrong. I mean, look at the reality of the votes, right? I understand that the American people are frustrated. Please believe many of us did not sleep because we were calling and trying to impress upon the senators the importance of pushing back in this moment. And as you saw, we had all but one Democrat in the House that voted for this. So that's 212 Democrats in the House. And then you had the vast majority of senators vote for it or vote against it as well. And so the idea that Chuck Schumer is the only one that's got a brain in the room and the only one that can think through all of the pros and cons is absolutely ridiculous. And Jake, you and I both know that this administration could care less about whether or not they violate the law. We know that we've had to rely heavily upon the courts. And I want to say, as you're talking about the polling on my party, I want to say that it is the Democratic attorney generals and some governors that are standing up against this administration and bringing those lawsuits and winning every single time. They are losing in court. Could we do a better job of making sure that the American people know that we are winning in the courts? We probably could. But at the end of the day, it's still Democrats that are winning for the American people.
Some progressive groups are calling for new leadership in the Senate for Democrats. Even House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, your leader, he was asked if he supports Schumer as leader of the Senate Democrats, and he said, next question. Do you think Senate Democrats should replace Chuck Schumer?
I think Senate Democrats have to sit down and take a look and decide whether or not Chuck Schumer is the one to lead in this moment.
You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections. And so I definitely think that younger, fresher leadership may be something that many of us, not just depending on what part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
How to take on the Republicans is a big topic of discussion among Democrats. Last week, you were one of those who participated in a Choose Your Fighter video. It got some criticism online, including Democratic Senator John Fetterman called it bizarre and reportedly mocked it in the Senate hallway. I will say that your punching looked better than some of your colleagues. Fetterman has been criticizing your party for undignified antics and a sad cavalcade of cell phones during the president's address to Congress. What's your response to Senator Fetterman?
He's not the one to talk about anything. I mean, this is a guy that doesn't seemingly want to own a suit. I'm not really sure. But I don't show up in hoodies when I'm going on the floor. And so the idea that you would say that we could not have a moment in which an influencer asked us to do this. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you and tell you that when she asked me to jump, I said, did you ask my older colleagues to do this? Because I feel like you're picking on me because you think that my knees are a little younger. And I did not know who all was in this particular trend whatsoever. And I think that it is important that people see that we're real people. And even if that means that there's a moment to laugh, that's okay, especially since it seems like we're doing more crying than anything. But just know that we were not on the House floor jumping around at all, whereas Senator Fetterman is consistently walking around the Senate chamber, and he is walking around in such a way that they literally had to change the rules in the Senate so that he could walk around that way. So I just don't think that he's necessarily the one to actually have an opinion about this.
But I think the problem is no one knows what the Democratic Party stands for. No one knows what their policy positions are. I think that's a part of the reason why many Democrats are angry. You look at the recent data that just came out, most younger men, Republicans. People of color starting to teeter more Republicans. Younger voters writ large starting to teeter more Republicans because they look at the Democratic Party for answers and solutions for a litany of problems that they have experienced over the last 8 years. And the Democratic Party has made a lot of promises, but they haven't delivered much on many of those promises, John. So this is an opportunity for the Republican Party, I would argue, to actually offer solutions to the problems that Americans are facing.
Super quick, Josh. Very quick. I just think as an independent, someone who's not a Democrat or Republican, I just have to say what was laid bare very clearly is that the Democrats have no strategy because the head of the Democrats in the House and the Senate totally disagreed, and they had an open fight about it. So it's been 5 months since President Trump won. 5 months. That should be enough time to, wipe off the tears and get back up and get back into the fight, and then think about what the fight is. Fight is not a strategy. Fight is what you do when you have a strategy. And if you don't have a strategy, you're not going to make good decisions. So everything comes from not having a strategy. And if I were a Democrat and a part of the Democratic Party, I would say just pick one. And then at least when people do the wrong thing,
10 seconds left. Yeah, I thought I was proud of Schumer. He didn't give in.
I'm sure you were.
He didn't. Well, he didn't.
Yes, he has Scott Jennings' endorsement. Excellent.
He didn't give in to the hypocrisy of the rest of the Democratic Party that had fought so hard against government shutdowns and the filibuster. He refused to give in to any of that, which was just a few months ago. He didn't give in to that. He did the responsible thing. I'm glad he and President Trump worked together to keep the government open.
He just wanted you guys.
When the Democrats are, as they were under Obama, I thought, much more sane and not championing silly things, I was much more always on their side. Then they became crazy woke about a lot of bullshit, and I wasn't going to hold my tongue like a lot of people did just because it's our team. And there's no teams. I'm on team what's real.
Yeah,
and
I'm dealing with that right now. But you were talking about I'm getting it now from the left. I'm getting it now.
They're like, Bill, what are we going to do? And my answer is, well, there's not much you can do. No. You lost, elections matter. You lost all the branches of government. So what can you do? I mean, apropos of the speech the other night, show up, with the paddles that you were very amusingly making fun of, and then some people wore pink, and then some people wore white for Ukraine. It's like they look so disorganized.
But there's a way to do
and
it.
Weak.
But there's a way to do it that they're not doing it, and I think they feel weak. And I also think the people. And look, again, I don't want to keep beating up on the Democrats. But I do think I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent.
I do.
But
I want to keep beating up on them.
I think that they should be the bulwark between us and democracy, right, and craziness, and they're not very good at it. I think that they have people in place who are not very good at leadership. Look, Hakeem Jeffries can hate me. People are mad at me. I don't think he's the person that should be leading the Democratic Party.
You know what? Someone who I'm very close to, who is one of the savviest political people I know, said that exact same thing to me
I
today.
think behind the scenes, he's very good. He's very good at, I'm sure, negotiating and coming up with a plan. I feel the same way I love Nancy Pelosi. I think she's a very smart woman. But I think that era of the Nancy Pelosi type in the Democratic Party is over. I think that this is the era of and I didn't like her policies at first. And I'm not necessarily in love with her policies. But people love AOC. People love Jasmine Crockett. People love Eric Swalwell and the like. And I think that the Democratic Party should put the people out there who the people want. They should put the politicians out there who the people want, who they're asking for, who are meeting the moment with the same energy that
they're not asking for AOC.
Yes, they are.
The people you party with
No. The people I party with don't like AOC.
Oh, please.
No, they don't at all.
Well, most people don't.
But
she's
AOC,
very far left.
Let me tell you why I'm saying that. Because because people will vote for AOC and Donald Trump on the same ticket. Because they're authentic. No, because they're authentic.
I don't think that.
Okay.
That Don.
I think you're wrong about that.
What people like about people like Trump and Fetterman is because it's irrelevant to her life.
But you don't know her life.
I know that being a gorgeous woman who I wouldn't even know was Hispanic in a city that has 1 million Hispanics and does not treat them badly.
But that doesn't mean she doesn't struggle. That doesn't mean that she was set down.
It implies it.
But that doesn't mean that she was set down in a Hispanic ghetto in the Bronx and had to deal with that growing up, and that she's come from a working class family.
It implies it implies that in some way she's behind the 8 ball because of that, and it's just not true. And so
I don't know if she's behind the 8 ball, but I don't think she's as privileged as many people who are in Congress right now.
Is that privileged or not? She was a bartender.
Yeah.
So I was a delivery boy.
But I'm saying sometimes, Bill, you don't agree with Donald Trump's policies.
No.
But that's what the people want.
Some of them.
Whether you like her or not, I don't like what she did with Amazon in New York. But I think AOC she's a Democratic icon.
Well, she's the wrong. If you think that's the direction the country, the Democratic.
I'm not saying the policies that she espouses that's the direction, but I'm saying that you have to give the people who are out front speaking for the party, not the people who are.
If you think
she's evolving,
yeah, she's evolving,
and
as we all are,
and she is moving into
right.
She understands the game a little bit more. And if you notice, she is sort of becoming a sort of normal kind of Democrat in many ways.
Yes.
I think she's great. She's a very smart tactic. She's very smart.
Let's get behind that.
So once again, we see why Don Lemon no longer works at CNN and why the Democrats lost. Because the Democrats were listening to people like Don Lemon. His advice is to put up people like AOC and Jasmine Crockett. Not because of their policies, because you heard him say it out loud. He doesn't like her policies. He doesn't like any of her policies, apparently. But he believes that she would be one of the ones that could get the most attention. That's what these people are wanting. They want the most attention. That's why they choose the most obnoxious, the loudest ones in the room, like AOC and Jasmine Crockett. Even though their policies are horrible, these people are far less extremist. AOC is an admitted socialist. And what? They're going to double down on that same policy and just be a little bit more louder? Oh, my goodness. These people are never going to win elections again if they listen to people like Don Lemon. And then Don Lemon is going to say, well, AOC is turning into a normal Democrat. What does that mean? An establishment Democrat? A Nancy Pelosi Democrat? A Chuck Schumer type Democrat? Like, what are you talking about here? These people make absolutely no sense whatsoever. But hey, Democrats, if you want to listen to Don Lemon and put up people like AOC and Jasmine Crockett without changing your policies, yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead. I guarantee you, you're going to win. I promise you're going to win. Listen to me. Listen to me and Don. Put up Jasmine Crockett and AOC and double down on y'all's policies that y'all ran with Kamala Harris, and y'all will win the presidency, the Senate, the House, all of it, right? Y'all might even pack the Supreme Court. Oh my goodness. Yo, and I don't even do this for a living. I'm just a YouTube content creator, and I feel like I have better political analysis than people like Don Lemon. But hey, what do I know, right? But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this video. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Hit the like button down below. It really, really helps the channel out. And leave your opinions in the comments. Let's talk about them. And of course, if you are brand new, consider hitting subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.